So it's a very important lyric to one of the songs that David, or as his Hebrew name is David, wrote, but it was removed. And as Hebrew Israelites, there's so much that we have to tolerate in this world. We have to tolerate trolls, which in biblical terms, some of the words used of wolves in sheep clothing, Pharisees, people who pretend they actually hate Hebrew Israelites. They they low key and high key hate Hebrew Israelites, so they troll us. They try to act like they're us in their fictitious minds, and they try to like simulate us, and they go around joyfully doing the work of sinners, of the Satanists. They really are Satanists. Like, it doesn't matter. Anybody who is not a Hebrew Israelite, whether they know it or not, they're Satanists. It's just evil. And if you're not living for God, you're living for Satan. And that's just how it is. It's plain and it's simple. God is not a median. You know what I'm saying? God is either hot or cold, on or off. God is not lukewarm. God is not in the middle, like kind of, sort of. No, God is yay or nay. You understand where I'm coming from? So you either serving God or you're serving Satan. And that's just plain and simple, which is why God hates evil. God hates evil. And so do all Hebrew Israelites. I tell people all the time, I'm nice to everyone. When you meet me, you won't ever come around me and see me just being mean and irate, because that's not the way that I am. I'm nice, I'm kind, I'm caring, I'm wisdom. I don't have any reason to be. I have a place in the Most High's kingdom. I was there. I was there before all of this was here. And if you don't know the scriptures, you don't understand what I'm talking about. You're going to say, what is she talking about? And I'm like, it's okay. Everyone here is here for a reason. And everyone here will come to understand who everyone is on this earth. And I love God. I live for God. And we are getting closer and closer to days and times where the things that you're accustomed to will be no more. And that's what, I put some lip gloss on, but I think I bit my lip earlier. Yeah, I did. Hmm. I'm just looking because I see this little white line. Y'all see this little white line on my lip? That's how cold it is outside. And I haven't been outside in days. I've been entrapped. I haven't been allowed outside because I'm being entrapped. And y'all know I'm a free spirit. People who know who I am, they know I'm a free spirit. You don't do that to me. It's gonna create bad things. Hebrew Israelites, we're not supposed to be living in shelters. We're not supposed to be living amongst others. And what I mean living amongst others, I'm talking about actually living. Visiting, fine. You will see many stories in the Bible. Hebrew Israelites, we visit often, especially those who are actually ordained by God, which, like I said, since the Messiah, there are no more people that are ordained to do nothing else. So you can see people in modern day saying that they're king this, priest that, yada 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 yada. No, you are not. Because God sent his only begotten son. That was the last and final opportunity for God to send anyone into this world to do anything else. Now we're all waiting for Armageddon. We're waiting for the last days, the days of revelation, the days of the reveal, when God is going to reveal to the whole wide world God's true presence. And people are walking around saying they know God's name. You don't know God's name, because there's a name for God. None of us know it. And it's talked about in Revelation. The only ones who are going to get to know God's true living name are the ones who go into heaven with God. So God's name is this and God's name is that. They're being blasphemous. They are workers of iniquity. They are Satanists. And they're trying to make you believe that they have the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help you God. You have to be really careful. You have to use your discernment, and you have to really study to show thyself approved. There's so many people that they don't even understand English. They don't understand the history of English. They don't understand Greek. They don't understand the history of Greek. They don't understand Hebrew. They don't understand the history of Hebrew. And then all of the other languages of the world that's written in the Bible. You have people all over the world. They're looking for God because in every land that you could think of is nothing but pestilence in the land. There's nothing but pestilence. There is no real joy on earth at this time because it's not that time for joy. This world is too unclean and it needs to be purified. You know what I mean when I say Hebrews are not supposed to be in shelters? The world we live in right now are trying to drive out any and everyone that they think could be even closely related to the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And they want to make them be the most poorest and the most impoverished and the most basically, basically unable people on earth. And if you've ever been to a shelter, you know it's run very much like a prison house. It's run very much like a jail. It is extremely horrid. It's usually unclean. The people who work there are usually unclean people. Spiritually, they have wickedness in them. They don't want you to they don't want you to get out the shelter because that's their fucking paycheck. They don't want you to get the benefits of being there because then you might get out and be doing better than them. Yeah. But as Hebrew Israelites, a husband and wife should be living together unless God has ordained them to do something else. And like I said, we don't get that stuff anymore. Right now, the only thing we're supposed to be doing is living by the laws of the Most High God, primarily the Ten Commandments, keeping God's Ten Commandments, remembering to be loving kindness, and making sure that we're raising our loved ones to know the truth. I listen to people tell me about the things of their ways of life, and I just laugh, mostly inside because outside they get mad at you because they hate you for not being them. Well, most of the time I just laugh because I'm just like, you're making up your own way of life. You have created yourself to be a God, and you are still not a greater God than the Most High God. Yet you contend to continue to try to create a life that God didn't even say. I see rules of their own, and then justifying the rules that they make, and I'm like, show me in the scriptures where God said that, and then I will believe you. Show me. And don't give me no broken down brand new version that you'd have made up off the top of your head. But show me in the scripture where God said to that I'm supposed to do this, that, and all the third. And you can't show that to me because you're trying to be your own God. You're making up your own ritual, your own way of life. Because, people, when they want to do their own sins, that's what they do. They keep saying, oh, and then they try to justify it. And then they want you to be as lost as they are. Hebrew Israelites can visit. You see through many of the stories, especially in the Old Testament, that we visited. Our people, our kings, those who were appointed by God, they visited often. And often it were places that were horrible. It wasn't the places that were of holiness. They had to go into places that were annoying spaces. They had to go into places where the people had sinful habits and sinful lifestyles, but they were there for God's reason, not their own reason. So they had to go. Even if they didn't want to go, they had to go. And it's always those same ones that go, well, if you serve God, show and prove me this. And if you're serving your God, how come you're doing this, that, and the third? And it's like, you're a Pharisee. You're an unbeliever. You are a wolf in sheep clothes. You hate God and you love evil. You hate goodness and you love the Satan. And that's really how they are. A Hebrew woman or a Hebrew man, if they are sent, regardless to how it happens, the world is going to make it look really messy, but it's always God allowing them to move around this earth the way that they do. But you should never be cooped up in a house with a husband and a wife, because their home and their marriage is a sacred. It's a sacred covenant between them and God. You have no place in their home. So if you do visit, hopefully it's literally extremely brief. But if it's a husband and a wife and that is their home, you have no reason to be up in their home, especially for elongated times. You have no purpose of that, none whatsoever. Go to Exodus, go to Leviticus, you will see laws of the Ten Commandments. Do not covet thy neighbor's house. Wanting to have a place to rest up in someone else's house is covetousness, whether you want to see it that way or not. But if God has put you to go there, that's a different story. Having children out of wedlock, meaning just laying around and having sex with a random person who is not willing to commit to you in marriage, as in, you're the only person I'm going to be with, I'm the only person you're going to be with. What happens is you bring out wicked children. Your children grow up and they become wicked. And you just don't understand why they're wicked. You be like, oh my gosh, I'm good, but the kids ain't good. It's good. You're blessed if you have your mother and your father and they're married, because that means that they took a covenant before the Most High God and that they do take their covenant seriously, with the exception to the men who feel like it's cheaper to keep her. I ain't going to divorce her because then I'm going to have to pay child support and alimony. That's wickedness. And that means that he's likely an infidel. He's likely fornicating outside of the marriage and having relations outside of the marriage, but just staying with that woman to make it look good for everyone else and to save his pockets, which is deceit. And God is not the God of error, which is error or confusion. The Most High God is not the God of confusion. So if ever you are confused about something, you got to know it's not from God. God is not going to confuse you. God is going to give you a concrete yes or no. Plain and simple. God is not going to leave you in confusion. Only Satan does that to you. So if you're married and your marriage isn't well, you need to pray to God to first see if God can help you heal that marriage. And you need to do it with your spouse, not just alone. Yes, alone you pray, but then together you pray too, because you're going to need God to come into your life and heal that marriage. Because God usually is presence in a marriage. When there is no presence of God, the good Most High God in a marriage, you could tell it's no presence. It's going to flop. The spouses are going to cheat. One is going to cheat, or both are going to cheat. They're going to cheat. They're going to be abusive to each other, whether verbally, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, or in any other kind of way they can be. They're going to be horrible to one another. Hebrew Israelites, we don't do that to one another. A Hebrew Israelite man When in the presence of his wife, he's happy, he's goodly, he talks kind to her, he doesn't yell at her, he doesn't degrade her, and he doesn't let nobody degrade her. And the same for her. But we live in a world where our men are being taught dis- disgraceful things. Call her a B word, call her a user, call her a manipulator, say all the derogatory things you can about her, and mistreat her, and go sleep around with other women and come back and sleep with her. You'll show her. That's wickedness. And it's homosexuality. You would go and pleasure another female or another male or another person and then touch another woman. That's unclean. That ain't nothing about that sound clean. Nothing about that sound clean. That's not God's way. That's Satan's way. You have committed to being a Satanist, not to being a goodly person. So guess what? A lot of the times people are running around naturally being Satanists and then running around saying, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. No, you're not. No, you're not. Stop. No, you're not. Stop. No, you're not. You have to be very careful. And like I said, there's a lot of people who they just don't know that they are God's children. And then you got people who run around and they learn a couple of scriptures and then they try to dress in certain attire and they say, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. See, told you. See, you can see it because I'm dressed like it. Yeah. Okay, you could dress like it, but are you living it? You could recite scriptures. You could recite scriptures after scripture, but are you living it? I tell people all the time a mistake is when you do something and you did not know it was wrong when you did it. A sin is when you do something that you know is wrong and you do it. An abomination is an accelerated sin. It is when you do something that God totally, totally does not accept in the kingdom of heaven at all. The Messiah can't even forgive you of those things. Don't go around telling lies, being blasphemous, worshiping other gods, not keeping your holy Sabbath, not honoring your mother and your father, conveying or wanting what someone else has, your neighbor's house or wife, the life that your neighbor has, the things that your neighbor has. There's so many things in the Ten Commandments that you just are not allowed to do. And the reason you're not allowed to do them is because those are Satan's ways. Doing those things, going against the Ten Commandments, is committing to Satan. It's plain and simple. If you live by the Ten Commandments, you're committing to God. And if you go against the Ten Commandments, you're committing to Satan. Plain and simple. It's not hard. But in the world that we live in, there's a lot of delusion. There are things that we didn't do that we as people we weren't allowed to do. We weren't allowed to wear makeup. We weren't allowed. We weren't wearing certain types of jewels, and we weren't wearing braids and hair weaves and stuff. And our world taught us through other cultures and through other lifestyles. We've adopted those things, but some of them are not abominations. They're just sins. You know it's wrong, but you're still doing it. When you are doing the work of the Most High God, God is going to allow you to do certain things so that way you could get the attention of the people that He needs you to get attention of. I remember when I only wore my hair covered, and people would always say, are you Muslim? No, I'm not. They took the ways of the Hebrew Israelites. They dress in garments similar to how we dress during our holy reign. No, I'm not. People ask me, you know, are you this, are you that? And I'm just like, I'll tell you exactly who I am. And it's not bragging when you tell somebody you're a Hebrew Israelite. It's called clarification. I don't want you to look at me and see that the nations around me who mimic and mock my original way, I don't want you to mistake me for them at all. Not in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I don't want nobody to look and say, "Oh my gosh, I guess she converted to being a Muslim, or I guess she converted to be a nun, or I guess she converted to be a Latter Day Saint or Jehovah's Witness, or I guess she's a Baptist now, or she's a Presbyterian now. I guess she's a theist, or I guess she's an atheist. Maybe she thinks she's the God, or maybe she doesn't believe there is a God." I want you to know the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I want you to know who I am, so you don't have to question, because I don't come from a God of error. My God is not the God of confusion. So I don't want you to be confused when you're in my presence. I want to make it clear. Let me be clear. And I tell people all the time, I am wisdom. If you hate me, then you love death. And I'm not talking about the death that we see here. I'm talking about the eternal spiritual death. Because this death here is for a short while. You'll be resurrected and you will be judged accordingly. But upon your judgment, you've shown hatred toward me. I got a lot of people mocking me. I got celebrities mocking me. They're actors, they're actresses, they're singers, they're dancers, they're performers, they're comedians. I'm like, yeah, go ahead and make your mockery. You're going to have your day. You don't know who I am, do you? You just think I'm a regular person because you're a regular person. They're sons of men and they're sons of God. There literally are people on earth that God planted all around the earth to do God's will specifically. You can't put me into any situation and I will fail. I will excel at everything I do because I am of God. Everything. You can put me here and I'm going to master it because God already put me to bless every territory that I touch, everything that I'm going to do. So that's why you see workers of iniquity. They love having me around because they think I'm going to benefit them. And I'm like, you think God doesn't know your heart and your soul? God knows your heart. God knows your soul. The truth about Hebrew Israelites is we are good people. We're goodly people. And we're loving people. But we love God first. And we hate evil. No matter how pretending and evil comes, we hate it. We hate it with a passion. We hate it with the passion of Christ. But we love our Messiah. We love that being in heaven, our Messiah looked down and saw on earth that the atrocities from the days of Noah had returned again, and that there were even less and less people believing on earth in the Most High God and living by the Most High God's original ways. But there were people. They didn't care that they were like the only ones around doing it. They were still grateful to God every day. That's who the Messiah came down for. That came down on their behalf. So all of these people running around trying to make you think that, oh, all I gotta do is just run around and act like I'm sanctified. Stop it. You're mocking. You're making a mockery of the Most High God. You're gonna be judged for that foolishness. You're gonna be judged for that nonsense. Jumping all around claiming you caught the Holy Ghost and falling on the floor and getting a paycheck after that. You're gonna be judged for that foolishness. Raping and molesting these kids in y'all sanctuary and telling people they won't be saved unless they're in your church building. Didn't you hear the Messiah saying if they tell you to go there, don't go there because I am not there? You have an ear, you listen. And if you comprehend, and make God be with you. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, it's because maybe truth is not in you. Everyone here has a purpose. Everyone here has a purpose. The rainbow, some truth about Hebrew Israelites. The rainbow is not for the LGBT homosexuality community. It's not for them. They do that to disrespect the Hebrew Israelites. They do that in joy, but it's not for them. It's a remembrance. It is a remembrance. It's a bow of remembrance from God. Every time God gets fed up, when you see a rainbow in the sky, that means God is fed up with the sin in your area. And God is like, oh, I could have ended you right now, but I'm not going to do it because I promised I wouldn't do it. That's why that bow comes up. It reminds you, like, oh, snap. God could have just wiped this out just now. This could have been our wipeout. That's what that bow is. It's a remembrance. And you know, every time a rainbow comes, when mad rain comes and the sun shines again, whew, whenever it rains, I get to pray into the Most High God because I know the powers of the Most High God. I know how angry God can get. I know how angry God is of the sinners of this world. God is preparing a place. There's so many people giving fictitious stories of how heaven's going to be. And I'm like, Revelations already talk about how heaven's going to be. So why are you telling me how heaven's going to be and it don't match with what the scriptures say? God says, I go to prepare a place for you. Why are you telling me that when I get to heaven, I'm going to prepare a place? God already told me that God is going to prepare a place for me. Why are you trying to teach me foolishness? Because you want me to perish in hell and brimstone? I'm not. I'm wisdom. I'm not going there anyway. I'm not. So I'm not worried about it. But I feel for the people who listen to that and who don't understand. Like, wait a minute. What are you talking about? God already said I go to prepare a place for you. What are you talking about? You're going to prepare it. No, we're going to be worshiping God in heaven. We won't be married to our husbands and wives in heaven. We'll be married to the Most High God. He says, I will be your husbandman and you will be my groom, my bridesmaid rather. We're not gonna be married the way we see this stuff in the world. The ways of the world are not the ways of the Most High. Even going to have a preacher or a judge marry you is not the ways of the Most High. It's just that because we're in the flesh, because Christ already passed on and served us, we can do that because marriage is good. And if this is how the world wants to predict it, okay, marriage, you have to go through this ritual that they create. Fine, do it. It's not against the Ten Commandments. Marriage is not against the Ten Commandments. But we all know that Hebrew Israelites, the original marriage is one man to one woman. It's not one man and all of these wives. It's not one man to one man. It's not one woman to one woman. It's not an adult to a child. It's not a human mammal to an animal mammal. It's not masturbation. It's not one human to themselves. That's all confusion. You see my face? I'm confused as F. That ain't the way of God. That's the way of the evildoers. So whether you like it or not, Hebrew Israelites were good people. We're goodly people. But we are allowed to fight. So if you mess with a Hebrew and you think we won't, we will fight you. Because this is a war of good and evil. And we don't have a problem showing you the power that God has instilled in us. We are humble because we are humble by nature. That is our natural way of being. But if you want to bring out that side, you can get it. And that's facts. That's really how it is. We serve the Most High God. We don't serve humans. So it's not about you. You want to see a Hebrew get mad? Are you sure about that? Are you sure that's what you want to do? You will be this close to death messing with a real Hebrew. You will. You will. And I tell people all the time I'm nice, but don't let me get frustrated. Because once I play the guy and God tell me lay hands, I'ma lay hands. I'ma lay hands. If I'm going into places and I know it ain't right, I pray to God. God, I know this place gonna bring X, Y, and Z. If I have to lay hands on God, you just let me know when and I shall do so. I'm at your command, not the command of mankind. And look through these videos. You'll see. You'll see. You'll see the time when God told me to lay hands. Some of it I got on video, and some of it it's just stories in the hood. They will tell you that girl is crazy. I'm not crazy. I just serve God properly. Keep God first always. Live in this world and be a good person. If you do not know who God is, learn about God. And if you don't accept God into your life, just know that your eternity is in hell. Plain and simple. And if you go out there worshiping false gods and worshiping human beings and worshiping items and material possessions, you will have your day in eternal hellfire. That lake of fire is real. The pits of hell are real. The depths of the abyss are real. If you hear me and you understand me, may the blessings of the Most High God be with you. I'm so serious. Y'all have a blessed day. I'm going to continue enjoying my Holy Sabbath. I'm going to take my time to rest. Thank you all for the likes. Thank you all for the listens. Thank you all for your patience. And like I said, pick up your Bibles and learn. Learn it. Stop letting people feed you the knowledge that you need to attain on your own soul. Nobody can save you but you. The person next to you, your bestest friend in the whole wide world, your road dog from way back when, you're this, you're that, you're that, you're this, your home skittle, no one, your mama, your papa, no one can save you but you. So if you sit back and you keep letting other people talk in your ear and tell you, no, don't do this, don't do that, step away from them and pray to God and say, I need to talk to God because, you're a human. You're in the flesh. There's so many people, they use being in the flesh as their justification for the stupid things they do. I'm in the flesh. I can lust because I'm in the flesh. You're a worker of iniquity. You worship Satan. No person of God is running around proud to say, I run around doing sin because I'm in the flesh. The Messiah was in the flesh. He didn't come here to sin. He came here to do holy things. What's your excuse? I'm in the flesh, so I can validate my wickedness. No, you're a worker of sin. You came on earth to be sinful, and you come around to people to be sinful, to deceive them. The deceiver is Satan. God is not a deceiver. So if you're walking around and you're trying to justify stupid stuff, that evil, wicked foolishness, it's because you really, really worship Satan. You don't worship the Most High God. If you understand what I'm saying, please go out there and learn what you need to learn. Ask the right questions when you're reading content that sounds sketchy. If it sounds sketchy, check on it. Make sure you're getting the right thing. And if you don't understand, keep searching, keep praying to the Most High God to reveal the truth to you so you can get it, so you can be in the kingdom of heaven, in the place of heaven. There is a heaven above us. All of these layers of the sky that we know of, there's an area above that called heaven. That's why people say they want it on earth as it is in heaven. Go to the stratosphere, you pass the stratosphere, you've been past the atmosphere, right? What do you think these spaceships are doing? They're trying to figure out where is heaven. Because they want to put their evilness on heaven. They're like, how about we go to heaven? You can't. God's not gonna let you in there. They're dumb. They got you recycling stuff. You want to know why you're recycling metals, scrap metals? Because they use it to turn it to weapons and spaceships. Because they really believe that in Armageddon they're going to be able to defeat the Most High God and His high holy angels, and that's not going to happen because we're already here. We're already here. We're laughing. We're like, look at this. Look at this. Did you not see that Saint John was sent from the Most High? He was turned into flesh and brought into earth, and he slightly fooled people because that was his job. That was his duty. They thought he must be the Messiah. He's out here baptizing people in water. And they approached him. Who are you? Where are you from? Let us know who you are. They were adamant. They wanted to know everything. Who are you? Who are you? And he's like, yo, no. I'm just here to let y'all know, I'm in the wilderness. I'm just here to let y'all know that the Messiah is amongst you. I'm just letting you know the time for you to actually get to see exactly who the Messiah is you about to see. Because they kept hearing about the Messiah was going to come into the world. And they were just like, yeah, right, yeah, right, yeah, right. Yada, yada, yada. Just like right now. People are walking this earth right now. They're like, man, God ain't coming to clear this up. They keep telling people, God can't save you. How many times have y'all heard someone say that? I hear people tell me that all the time and I laugh. I'm like, they don't even know who I am to God. This is really funny. I can't wait to see them get judged. Look at me in the eye telling me God can't save me. I've been saved by God. I'm just here to do his work. And I'm doing just that. Don't matter what a person interprets me as. So keep God first. Keep God first. Don't let yourself worship people. Don't let yourself worship things. Put God first. And if you want to be blessed and you want to be, understand Hebrew Israelites, the true Hebrew Israelites, we are here. We know who we are. We are waiting patiently. We are waiting patiently. And we're watching the workers of iniquity. We stand next to y'all sometimes because God allows us to. God tells us to. We'll be right in the places that you are because God tells us to. You're not winning us over. Keep God first. If you have an ear, please hear. And if you could share your understanding of God, share it. Help people understand who God is. And pray first. Pray all throughout your day. Be constant in prayer and give thanks accordingly. Always give thanks to the Most High God. Be thankful because God, I'm telling you, every time you see a rainbow in the sky, anytime you see a reflection of a rainbow, just know there's wickedness there. And God could destroy that area or that place where you're seeing that rainbow. But God is like, I'm not going to do it because there is a holy one there. There's one of my holy children there, and I won't do it. I promised that I wouldn't do it, and I'm going to keep my word. Yeah, it is done. Y'all have a blessed one. See y'all later. Be safe.